Good evening, dear JCIs. I'm Dražen Stankovic, and I'm very happy to welcome you to the first JCI Europe Talk. It is a great honor to have 2006 JCI President and former head coach of JCI Academy, Lars Haijslund, as our first guest. Welcome, Lars.
Thank you very much, Dražen. It's wonderful to be here. Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. In this talk, we will focus more on fun and interesting stories. So I hope you will be enjoying it instead of just talking. Instead of just talking business and the workshops, so let's talk a bit funny part of JCI.
Exactly.
I mean, you are in JCI for almost 27 years, and I'm sure, and there are probably some people younger than you have been to JCI. So I'm sure that you have plenty of interesting stories. And since this is relaxed talk, I would like to ask some questions from these stories. So maybe the first question is, what is the most interesting trip you have had?
The most interesting trip I had was when I was a JCI vice president. I was assigned to Russia, and I had some difficulties getting in contact with him. This was in 2001, so communication, internet was not really that advanced. And as a vice president, you're supposed to visit your countries, but they didn't respond. So I had no idea what's going to happen and if I was going to meet there. But then suddenly one day I got an invite and saying, yes, we want you to come and we want you to visit Moscow. And this was in beginning of June. So I came to Moscow, in my suit and ready. And as soon as I got to the airport, they said, we're going to start a new chapter. So we're going to start a new chapter in Petrozavodsk. And the Petrozavodsk is 14 hours train ride north of Moscow. So they put me into this car into this train. It was very, very nice train with two other JCs that I met, but they were great guys. The only problem was they only spoke Russian, and my Russian is very, very limited. I can say da, niet, and nastrovia. And to be honest, that was probably the most used word anyway during this trip. So we went to this trip far up north, and I can tell you, it was snowing. There was this much snow when we arrived in June, and I only wore my suit. I didn't bring any coat, anything, because it was June. It was going to be supposed to be warm. But the funny part was that we actually we spent 14 hours up and 14 hours down, and with only Russian speaking and only me English and no English. There was no one speaking any English. And they taught me a card game. At least they told me they taught me a card game, because I lost definitely all my money on that trip. But we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of friendship, and actually one of them learned English later on. So we had a lot of. I met them several times after that. But we never played the card game again. But at least we got very intoxicated again, because there was nothing else to do. So vodka and fish and a good card game with not only we were like 6 in the train car or in the train room, so everybody was in the game and gambling, and I was the only one losing, probably because I didn't understand a word of what they were saying, so they could treat me with anything. But that was a great trip. We started a chapter in Petrozavodsk, and they grew, and it was a good chapter. Still is, I think, in Petrozavodsk, very far up north.
Oh, very nice.
So that was a very nice trip. Very nice trip. A little bit surprising though, but good.
Okay, so when we are still talking about intoxicating, maybe what's the best party ever?
Oh my God.
That you can remember,
I will tell you, in 2008, when I retired as a JCI member, well, it was my last year. The year before that, I stopped counting the number of times I was at a conference. At that time, I had attended 175 conferences and congresses in JCI all around the world. And I stopped counting, and I've been to many, many, many since. So asking which party was the greatest is a bit of a challenge. But I think if I should take a go, the best one was JCI Denmark was in 2001. We were running for the World Congress in 2003 in Copenhagen. And we organized a party in Barcelona at the World Congress there. And to be honest, we had We had not enough money. We didn't have any good place to stay. But we found a sponsor of a lot of alcohol, and we had one of our JCI members who was a great DJ. So I will guarantee I think if people remember that World Congress, they will still remember the Danish party, which was absolutely hilarious. It was a fantastic party on in a tent, and a tent in November in Barcelona is not necessarily very warm. So, but it was a fantastic party we created at that time.
Nice. Sounds very interesting, I can say. So we continue with this. So what was the proudest moment in JCI for you?
The proudest moment was, I think the year after I was president in January. When I became president in 2006, we had decrease in membership for 21 years. And we lost a lot of members every year. We went from 500,000 to, when I was president, we had 172,000 members. By the January board meeting, the year after I was president, we finally got the last numbers in, because we had a couple of countries who had difficulties declaring. So we didn't know how many we had. But at that time, we managed to get to 178,000, which was an increase of 8,000, which was 30,000 more than the year before, because then we lost 24,000. And for me, that was I was so proud, because I think, you know, I didn't do anything. I was just the president, but I think the focus that we had in JCI, and especially in the local chapters, of doing only two things. The first one was to make sure that everywhere you go, you need to be able to join, a young person needs to be able to join a chapter. So, you know, within a radius of 20 kilometers, there needs to be a chapter young people can join, because we know how great JCI is. And if we don't provide that opportunity to all those young people who are in the cities that don't have a chapter, I think it's not nice of us. So we really need to help them have the experience. And then secondly, when we start chapters, we need to make them strong. And I think we actually did that, and we also continued to grow in 2007 and 2008. So for me, that was a very proud moment, that the entire organization in 5,000 local cities, we created more than 500 local chapters that year. And I think that made me very proud, that people actually took the job seriously, and focused on what matters most, which is to provide development opportunities for young people.
Great. I remember you told me the story like that you were in USA changing the cities every day, like going to opening new chapters.
In the US? Oh, no,
yeah.
We didn't change the cities. We changed the state every day. Yeah. We did one trip. We did 15 states in 13 days. We did. We were driving car. We were flying. We were on a boat. We were on a train. We didn't do a bicycle, but that was kind of the only thing we didn't do. We even had a horse wagon, because we were in some Amish country, which was very, very nice. So we did almost everything that we could to travel these 15 states in 13 days. Yeah, we did something called Wake Up America Tour, because one of the problems for the last 30 years was that the US was dropping a lot of membership, and we needed to stop that decline. So we did something we called Wake Up America Tour, where we visited all the capitals. We did 44 states, in which 38 we had state organizations, so we had members. And then we visited 6 states where we actually managed to open 3 new capital cities. So we actually started 3 new chapters in capital cities and created a state organization around that. So it was a very, very, very interesting year with a lot of exciting visits, very exciting visits, many places.
Yeah, nice. The other thing I want to ask you, we talk in Moldova, but you mentioned me this famous dinner in Dominican Republic.
Oh, when the president chose to arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was in 2002. I was the EVP of the Americas. So I was hosting the conference in Dominican Republic, in Santo Domingo, and it was a nice challenge because I right after we had the January board meeting in January, and the conference was in May. The first thing I did was traveling there to do a site inspection because I needed to see. No, before the January board meeting, I went to do a site inspection. So I went there, and to be honest, they had absolutely no idea what to do. They didn't have contracts. They didn't know anything. It was not very nice. So I told them, okay, I'm going back to Miami because our headquarters was in Miami at that time. I'm going back to Miami. And when I come, when I'll fly back in 2 weeks, I'll come back, and then you need to be ready. And they were very embarrassed, and so when I came back, everything was ready. They have even counted how many steps you had to take from the bus to enter the reception of the National Theater where we were doing the opening ceremony. So one of the things we decided at that time was that even though this was Latin America, they are very Latin. Nothing was going to be late, so we wanted to do everything on time. And so we came to the conference, and I arrived early on Sunday, and the opening was on Wednesday. And then we had a meeting on Monday, and they said to me, Lars, we have a lot of people attending, which is really great, but we have one problem. The problem is that I think we have 50 English-speaking people, and then the rest, like 600-700, is going to be Spanish-speaking. So at the opening ceremony, we need to do translation because it's in the contract with JCI. So if you do, and you're the only one speaking English, so if you do your speech in English, we have to give translation equipment to all these Spanish people. So is there any chance that you can do your opening speech in Spanish? And I said, well, can you give me a challenge? That's okay. We're only expecting like 700-800 people, so don't worry. I'll do my speech, opening speech in Spanish. So this was Monday, and I learned it Monday night and Tuesday night, and Wednesday was the opening ceremony. And we were backstage. All the national presidents was there, and the son of the president of the country was there, and we were having drinks, and everybody was wearing their chains and tuxedos and looked very nice. And then suddenly the president of the country, the son of the president, went outside, and he called past JCI. He called his father and said, "Dad, this is not for me. These guys are too important. You need to come." So then the president called the past JCI president from Dominican Republic and said to him, "This is Hipólito Mejía, the president of the country. I'm going to be there in 20 minutes. So I hope that you can wait for me." And these guys were absolutely horrified because I said to them, we don't want anything to start late. So the president wanted to delay everything with like 15-20 minutes. But they came to me and said, we're very sorry, but the president of the country is coming. Can we be a little bit late? And okay, we decided, okay, we'll be late. We'll be this 15 minutes late. And then he came, but not only did he come, he also brought 5 national TV stations that were broadcasting live. And I was the only one who didn't know a word of Spanish, who did my 8 minutes opening speech in Spanish, which was very nice. I'm kind of, that's also a proud moment because I was the only one getting standing ovation. Even the president and the JCI president and the president of the country were speaking as well. So that was very nice story.
No, very nice. So you learn fast, I guess. Spanish in 2 weeks.
Spanish in 2 weeks. You always 2 days in Spanish in 2 days. And I still remember. Había una vez. That was the beginning. Once upon a time. It was nice. It was nice. It's a long time ago. And I only had the 3 written speeches in my entire life. I had this speech. I had my inauguration speech at the World Congress when I was inaugurated, and my election speech at World Congress. These are the only 3 speeches that I had written. But the only one I really liked to have written was actually the one in Spanish, because I had no chance of.
Yeah. Well, but it's really good. You learn to read it in 2 days. Different language, it's very good.
Yes, but it's okay. So, but yeah, I had a lot of fun that year.
That's good. I guess world president is really a lot of traveling, a lot of fun, but also you were 27 years here, so you have. The thing I want to ask you is like, what was the strangest experience you had during the JCI career? Like something that's totally strange you never expected to happen, or?
Holy moly! You know, when you travel, a lot of strange things happen. I still remember, you know, we were talking about the strange market in Asia and all these kind of things. And one of the things in 2003, 4 or something, there was an area conference in Taiwan, in Kaohsiung, and I was there as a part of. I was not an officer of JCI, but I was a candidate for many years. So I had to spend a lot of my own money traveling to all these JCI events and trying to be there and did a lot of trainings and these kind of things. So when I was there, I experienced, you know, I don't know if you ever been to China or to Taiwan, but oh my God, they have a lot of motorcycles and scooters. So whenever you go to a corner of the street, you hear this. It's like a beehive coming, and there's like 300 bikes there. So so I was there and I experienced that. And then when I was elected president, they wanted me to go to Taiwan. And at some party at one time, you know, maybe 2 years earlier, I said, "Oh my God, I think this was great. This was something that really was exciting." So what they did when I was president was that one night they took me out on a drive myself trip in Taipei City with all these hundreds of other motorbikes. It was I don't think that JCI headquarters knew, because then they probably wouldn't have allowed me to do it. But it was really fun to do that. And then later on, they took me to this market. It was like a snake market. So and before that, we had a dinner. And in Taiwan, they only have one rule, and that is to kill the guest of honor. That's kind of the only thing they do. Everybody comes up and they say, "Mr. President, hotara," which means drink everything. And then the next one lines up and they put more in your glass and you drink with the entire room and you're completely wasted. So then they took me to this street, the Snake Alley, and they wanted me to experience snake wine. And so what they do is they take a snake, and sorry, I would never do this today, but you know, this is many years ago, so we were not kind of that humane to animals at that time. So they took a snake and they put a clip on its head, and then they cut it open and cut out the heart of the snake and put it on the table. And the heart of the snake beats for 15 minutes. So it's lying there on the table and beating. And then they take the blood of the snake into a glass like this with hot water and whiskey, and then the blood of the snake. And then they go, hotara, and then you drink. And if you're the guest of honor, you also get the beating heart. So you put the beating heart in your mouth and you swallow it, and it keeps beating for like a long time inside you. That is one of the strangest things. But you know, I've had the cat and dog and bird's nests and porcupine. I've had guinea pig. I've had everything. Iguana I had in Haiti. They served me iguana.
Wow.
So I never had a bat, Annie. No, never. I never had a bat.
So no corona for you, but we won't talk today about it.
No.
So I want to talk about the other thing is JC Academy in Japan. You were the head coach for a long time, and I'm sure you had many great generations, many good people there. But you know, when there is an NBA, they compare which draft was the best. Was one with the Kobe Bryant, the one with the Michael Jordan. So what do you think is the best generation for you in the academy? Which year? I don't want you to pick.
Never, you know, I see some of the people who are on the list is graduates from the academy. So I would probably say the next one. The next academy will always be the best one. No, but the good thing about the academy is that the academy, the best one is the one that you are in. And it is the best one because it is magic, and it is something that is it is truly an event that you will never forget, because people are from so many different places and they are so much, and everybody's alone because there's only one from each country. So you don't have another Serbian that you can kind of grab. You're all alone. You know maybe some a little bit, but you don't really know them that well. So a lot of magic happens that week, and as I always say, the academy has nothing to do with the trainer or with the content of the academy. It's always the experience and the other people that are there that is absolutely fantastic just to be with.
Yeah, I agree with you totally,
yeah.
And I agree that mine was the best one. So,
and
but
I think Natasha went to the academy. Jana went to the academy. You did, Jana, didn't you?
Yeah, she was with me.
She was with you. Yeah, Susanna's been there. No, Susanna's not been there. Anna, of course, means that the Tokyo Academy was the best one. It was absolutely a very good one. Natasha will say that Mito was the best one, of course. Yeah, 2016 in Mito. That was an amazing experience. Probably the strangest academy we've ever had. Handa, Maggie was there in Handa. It was great.
So that we are on the good question now. So what was the strangest thing on academy that happened? Like just one anecdote or one story you always like to remember, or the funniest one?
The funniest one. Oh my God, there are so many. You know, it's
just
very
pick one.
The strangest one. The strangest one was Natasha's academy in Mito was the strangest academy ever. Because I can say that there's no Japanese in this room, huh? Is it going to be live on YouTube afterwards?
Probably.
Okay, so I'll be polite. But we had the chairman of the academy was a very independent chairman, so he did not necessarily consult with a lot of people, and he decided that it would be best if because we had 3 hotels, so we put all the ladies in one hotel and all the men in other hotels. And you know, you don't have to study for like 30 years to understand that that's really a stupid idea. Because of course everybody wants to be together, especially at after parties, and you know, we have all these curfews that people are not allowed to go outside. So that was a strange thing.
Yeah, when everybody,
you know the story
around.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah, everybody was sneaking around between the hotels.
Everybody was sneaking outside. They were, you know, then we actually facilitated it so that we could help people go from one hotel to the other, because otherwise someone would have been, climbing the walls, and I don't know. It was not a good idea.
Not at all. So, how do you manage to balance your private life with the JCI? Do you have free time at all, or? Yeah,
I do, but you don't know. I don't see. I'm not. You know, some people say that, you know, you have your work life, and then you have your personal life, and then you have JCI life, and then you have other life, and then you have, I don't know. But then there is not enough. For me, it's just like spaghetti. It's kind of all over. It's I do JCI when I work, and I do work when I do JCI. I have fun when I work, and I do have fun when I do JCI, and I bring my family to JCI and to my work, and so I kind of mix it up like spaghetti. I don't really see the difference, to be honest. It's just absolutely. If you want to compartmentalize your life into boxes, eventually the boxes, there will not be enough, you know, because there's never enough. Then you start cutting off your sleep, and then you look like a 60-year-old when you're 28. Then you cut off your personal life and you get divorced, and then, you know, you cut off your work because you don't want to cut off the fun and friends and JCI. So you cut off your work and you get fired or you go bankrupt. So I think I like the spaghetti model better, because that works for me. Yeah.
Nice. I think I'm on the same spaghetti thing. But this is one of the good things about JCI is friendship. I mean, it's not just the work, it's not just also creating positive change, but also the friends that you make during your JC career, like on all the events you go, there is always at the end, there is some after party or something where you go for a drink or meet with the people and talk. So I guess you made many friends in JCI during your career.
Many friends, and still doing, you know, I was talking to Scott Greenlee just when I drove here. That was why I was a little bit late. I promised you to be here at 10 to 8, but I was a little bit late because I'm talking to him, because he's actually opened up through some of his contacts some ways into buying some you know, masks for the hospitals in Denmark, in China. So he and I are facilitating, you know, the Chinese and the Danish government to kind of go on with that, and that's an exciting business deal. I'm doing all kind of business with my JCI friends around the world, and some of them are clients. Some of my clients are not JCI members, but some JCI members said, you know, maybe you should talk to Lars. I've seen him do training, or he's a good keynote speaker, or maybe if you need help with your branding, he's a good guy to go to. So there is a lot of, you know, it's all woven in together. And I've never done JCI for business. I've never been there and said, you know, give me some business. Can we do something? It's always the other way around. You know, I think it's like being a good salesperson. If you're a good salesperson, you don't need to sell because you just help people want to buy from you. And that's what I do. I try to be a good guy, and at least as good as I can, and help a lot of people, and then eventually it comes back. It's
yeah,
there's a tenfold return on good things.
Yeah, and also in your LinkedIn, I saw you mentioned that you spent like most of your life working with high performance organization. Which was the most challenging, and which one was the most interesting?
Of my clients and other organizations I work with?
Yeah.
The most, I don't know if it was the most challenging one, but it was at least the most emotional one. When I was JCI president, I met some young guys who started an NGO. They were traveling around the world with movie cameras, and they were doing films. And then they came to Uganda, and they saw that kids were coming from the villages, coming to the capital of Uganda at night, and they were sleeping under the houses. Because if they stayed in the villages, the militia will come and take them and make them child soldiers. So they decided that, you know, maybe we could help those kids by, you know, making films and making awareness around the world, and create some projects in Uganda that could actually help that. And they asked me to be on their advisory board, and this was in 2006, and I think in 2014. There were no more child soldiers in Uganda, which was a great project. They did a fantastic job, you know, doing a lot of things everywhere, and not only doing good things in Uganda, but they also educated people around the world of what is the reality of these kids. One of the things we did was we had the 5,000 kids walking from their home to a park in Chicago, sleeping out in the end of November. And end of November is not a nice camping season in Chicago. But it really taught them that, you know, it's that things are different. And that was a very good project. So that's probably one of the strangest organizations I helped, or at least a very, very good one, making a lot of great things.
Yeah, very nice. I know about Chicago because I had friends who lived there, so they say it's not cold only in July.
No, exactly. The rest of the year it's cold.
So, but I see that you are very active these days also. You have the interesting session every Friday, like Opportunity Friday.
Yeah,
so,
I do. Opportunity was something we did the third one on Friday, and we'll do another one on this Friday. And it was actually just because I was sitting at home. We were under lockdown, and I was just getting depressed of what the heck can you do? But you know, I'm an opportunity guy, so I like to look for, you know, even though there is a bad situation right now, there's a lot of things that we can learn from it, or, you know, grow and develop while we're doing this. So I thought that why not look at the opportunities instead of just the disasters? So we did that, and we've done 3 sessions so far. The first one was on what are the learnings that we can take to actually grow business. What kind of business could we grow out from the experience that we're getting from the corona? The second week was on the school. How can we use those experiences we get now to make a better school after corona? And last week we actually did some crowdsourcing of trends. So figuring out what are the main trends going to be after corona, so that we as business people can be ready, and leaders can be ready for the society that awaits us. And this Friday, later tonight, the invitation will go out. You can seek Opportunity Friday on LinkedIn, and I'll share it on my profile as well. This Friday, we're going to look at, because we have a lot of people who are under lockdown, and it sucks. No more talk about that it sucks, but it really does. So I really want to make an Opportunity Friday on your corona goal. What do you want to spend the time where you feel bored on doing, so that you will come out as a master when the corona is over? So we're going to spend the time on Friday from 2 o'clock until 3:30 Central European time on growing your goal, figuring out what do you want and how can you do that in a really nice way. So that is Opportunity Friday. We decided that it's going to continue. It's very interactive. We use Zoom like we do now, but we do a lot of group sessions and one-on-ones and talks together. So I don't speak. People work together from all around the world, and we've had people from 5 continents, and I think almost 40 countries now attending these. So it's like a mini World Congress every Friday.
Very nice. I was on the first one, but I had to leave because of work. But I think I'll try to manage to come to this one on Friday.
If you don't come here every Friday, 2 o'clock, you're always welcome. And we always end with a drink.
Same as here, I guess. I hope everybody had.
Cheers.
But
what was that?
Rakia, Serbia.
Rakia. Oh my God, you're lucky.
Okay, so we are coming to the end. Maybe if you want, we can ask if somebody has 1 or 2 questions they want to ask.
Questions. Yep.
And if somebody wants, you can let me know. So there is already one here. What is the reason?
Annie's asking, yeah. Oh, yeah. Is there already? Yeah.
What is the reason you joined JCI, and what made you later on run for president?
When I joined JCI, I was 25, and I spent 8 years believing that I was going to change the hospitality industry. So I was working, managing hotels, restaurants. When I joined, I was just starting a restaurant chain at that time, 25 years old. And when you do that business, you work 24/7, 365. You're never off. So the only friends I had were in that business, and so I didn't know anyone except people who are either chefs or waiters or hotel managers or other people in the industry. So, and then one day I was invited to join a session with some JCI members, and I really was amazed of the diversity of the people. And I was sitting next to one of my best friends later on who sold. He actually sold food for pigs. And on the other side of me was a big pig farmer, and they were kind of talking across me all night. But there was also a banker at the table and a lawyer and all these kind of different people. And it was so interesting to hear, from other trades, and that was really what inspired me to be there. And then Annie's also asking what made me run later on for president. It was a long process. In 1998, I joined my first World Congress in the Philippines, and I was already at that time really active. When I was local president, I started a project called European NBN Services, where we helped create national business networks around Europe. And in '98, I developed some software that we distributed to all around the world, it's called JC Management, where you could handle everything from dues to meetings to conferences to everything. Was kind of within one system, and it was meant to be a business database. So I could go to Turkey, find a lawyer who liked blonde girls, so I could make business with him, or like to play golf, or whatever. So I created that, and at the World Congress we got a proposal through the JCI General Assembly. None of us were national presidents, but we put forward a proposal, and we actually got it approved that JCI should look into how we could create a worldwide business network, which was really nice project. And then at that time, someone started asking, but you were very young. At that time, I was 30. And I was just elected as deputy president of Denmark. At that time, I was national president in 2000. So people asked, oh, you're very young, maybe you should go for it. And so I got some good sponsors at that time, not financial sponsors, but people who were kind of supporting me and promoting me. And then I was elected as as vice president in 2001 and EVP in 2002. And then it took a lot of years before I became president, because I was a very much used trainer at that time. So I traveled everywhere, always I was traveling for JCI, doing trainings. On average, from 1998 to 2008, 10 years, I was at home 6 weekends a year on average, 6 weekends a year on average. The rest of the time I was traveling for JCI. So, and during the week I was working. So of course it was fun. It was also a tough time. So I was a trainer, and at that time the political system in JCI didn't really like trainers. They kind of hated us. So they didn't want me to be a president. So it kind of took a lot of convincing and a lot of promotion. So when I was elected, Kevin, my predecessor, he made a speech, and he said, I'm very proud, because in the time of JCI member, I visited more than 75 countries after he was president. And when I was on stage for my speech, for my election speech, I could actually I had counted that I already in JCI had visited 85 countries in when I was a candidate. So I've been everywhere in that period. So for me it was a good challenge. It was a very nice way of learning. Learning how to run an organization. And today I benefit a lot from it, because what we did that time is exactly what we're doing right now. It was remote leadership. You could not, if you lead an organization in 105 countries, and at that time 120 countries, you cannot be present. So you have to lead through other measures, which is nice.
Yeah,
so
and I guess technology now is much better than it was.
Yeah. It was much better, but it's still we at least we had some technology at that time too, which doesn't, to be honest, it doesn't make it easier. When I talk to past world presidents, I talked to Isfahani Samin from Sri Lanka. He was 1988 world president, and he said, it was a busy time. When I arrived at the hotel, every night there was at least 2 or 3 faxes that I needed to respond to and to send them. I said, every night I go to my hotel room, I have 500 emails. So shut up. He said, technology just makes it so much easier. Yeah, but it doesn't make it less work. It's just, it's not necessarily easier. Sometimes it's also a hassle, but you get to learn a lot from that. Yeah.
Do we have some more questions?
Any more questions? And you can ask anything. I'm not sure I can answer, but I can at least try. And if you don't want to write it, you can just unmute yourself and talk.
Well, I guess we are all impressed with what we already heard from you. So
I have a question for you, Lars.
Oh, there is one.
Oh, this is my president, Madam President.
Yes, I was just wondering, because I've known you for about 7 years now, and you are always helping, especially JCI Denmark, I feel, which we are very grateful for. But what is it that makes you so, I would almost say, addicted to this organization, even though it's been a few years since you were a junior member? So why is it that you still feel the not the need, I guess, but more the what do you call it? Why is it that you want to give back to this organization even still?
As you said, it's not necessarily a need, but it's at least when I was done being president and I turned 40, I thought maybe I should join something else. But you know, if you've had your love of your life, it's very difficult to find something else. I'm a member of Rotary. I'm in numerous boards and involved in a lot of other organizations. But my heart will always belong to JCI. And for me, whenever I open the news and I see, you know, people, I see the leaders that are leading the world right now. I think that there has never been a stronger need for an organization like JCI than there is right now. And if we want great leaders to change this world, we need to start early, and we need to give them good opportunities to grow themselves and develop themselves. And most of you know that I've been challenging the direction of the organization for some years, because I didn't really think that it was that we were going in the right direction, because there has been too much, you know, let's go out there and help people and do stuff. But this has never, for me, this has never been the purpose of this organization. We are here to make young people better. We are here to make sure that the leadership that is crawling up years from now has had the opportunity to learn from peers from all different sectors of society, who has had the chance to lead without power, but only through motivation and inspiration and transpiration. So for me, that it is so needed. And you know, if I can help, I do it. If nobody else is figuring out what to do, at least I can throw in a couple of ideas. And I still do a lot, you know, and I like it. So I try to help, and then a lot of people ask me for help, and I help. But it's I try not to interfere, but just to hopefully help in the best possible way. And it's still involved a lot. I still spend, probably, I don't know. I probably used to spend 20 hours on JCI every week anyway. But I've always done that, so it doesn't really matter. But it's
you're used to it.
I'm used to it, and I like it. You know, this week I've been working, helping a young lady from Jordan who is working on a large peace project in Jordan. I'm helping the JCI headquarters to establish a good way of working virtually and figuring out how to do that, and structuring their knowledge and intelligence, and helping them, you know, figure out how to work when you're a completely virtual team. So I help do that, and then I do a lot of trainings and other stuff. So, but that's I enjoy that.
Okay, I think we can use one more last question from Anna. It's like, do you think that JCI have changed a lot since you have joined, and if yes, how?
It has changed, but there is hope, because I've seen the last two presidents, Itai and Alex, last year, actually going back to the old roots. For me, JCI, as I said, JCI has always been an organization that should develop leaders. But in 2008, we decided on a strategic plan where we put the word active citizens in there. And then we became, unfortunate, and we had some people in the organization who really wanted a job at United Nations. So they kind of made us a sub-division of United Nations. And I really didn't like that, because we've always been an independent organization. We've always been an organization that has the best objective of the world. And they turned us into an altruistic organization, which means that we were there to serve others and create a better societies, and we should help, and world peace, and I don't know, all the crap that came out. And I'm not against all that, but it's not our job. There's a lot of other organizations doing a lot of stuff out there, cleaning the world and cleaning parks and helping kids and do whatever. That is not our job. Our job is to make sure that there is someone who can actually lead this world in 10 or 15 years' time. That's you guys. Sitting out there who should do that, and that has always been our job, and that is where we need to focus. So I've been very hard and strict and pushing a lot for the last many years for us to change back into something, into a more development-oriented organization where people should actually develop. So that has changed. That has changed, but it's changing back, and I really like that, because I see that we are also again starting to attract some really intelligent and bright people, and for a while we were not doing that. We were attracting those who couldn't find friends anywhere else, and it was really horrible. So I think it's and we are an elitist organization. You know, JCI is not for everyone. It's just for those who really have ambition, who really wants to do something. And it's not just for those who just want to come along and have a good time or have a good party. That's what great leaders also do. They work hard and they lead hard and then they party hard. But if you don't have any ambitions, if you don't want to be chairperson of something, maybe you should go somewhere else, because this organization is not for people who have for no ambition. And I think that is coming back, and I really like that. And that's why I also have been more engaged, actually, the last year and a half than I've been for a long time, helping in many ways, creating, you know, because we killed it. We used to have the best trainers of the world. At that time called the American Society of Training and Development, which was the largest human resource development organization in the world. They asked us to be on the board to show all those, and these were the trainers of the government of the United States and all the big companies and all around the world. All the big human resource managers and trainers were part of that organization, and they asked us to help them develop trainings. And today the only trainings we have is someone reading aloud from a lousy, boring PowerPoint. So I'm really trying to hope that we can get that back and get more people active, involved in training and doing stuff.
I think this is great conclusion for this first JCI Europe talk. I would really like to thank you a lot for joining us and for these inspiring speeches. And of course, as you say, skål.
Skål.
Skål. And also I would like to thank for everybody for attending this JCI Europe talk. And I would like ask you to stay positive and to keep finding new ways how to help and how to develop yourselves in this time. And I hope you will always have support from all the JCI members of JCI Europe. As you can see, Lars is always there. There are plenty of members in JCI who are there. So thank you very much for this time tonight, and I hope to enjoy your night and rest. I hope we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much, Joe.
See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.